Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zorkel Profiles, along with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Our special guest today is Pam Vivio. Pam is the co-founder of Beyond Juicery and Eatery. She's always had a love for business. Growing up, she watched her father run his restaurant and learned about business initiatives and management from working alongside him. In college, Pam met her now husband, Mijo, and they both quickly learned they shared a background and a love for the restaurant industry. Fast forward a few years, and the idea to bring a healthy eatery to the Detroit area came to be thanks to the duo. Mijo focuses on the restaurant operations and customer experiences, and Pam brings a special touch to Beyond Juicery and Eatery with her keen eye for community involvement. With Pam's commitment to the industry and a degree in international business management, she helps the brand evolve with a changing customer preference, which has helped the brand grow to nearly 40 locations. Wow.
Hi.
Welcome, Pam.
Wow.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I don't know about you ladies, but I am always fascinated with the family dynamics and with small business where husband and wife are working together. I'd love to hear the story, Pam, of how you and Mijo met and that whole backdrop of how you began working together.
Sure, it's a great story, and my husband loves to use this story over and over when he talks to even our employees as well, because it's so important how we met and how we also take care of the customer today. So my husband and I met in Arizona. I was actually in Arizona going to school, and I walked into a restaurant with a girlfriend of mine, and they were almost ready to close the doors, and we walked in, and he somehow, there was another waiter, and that waiter transferred us over to my husband, and my husband became our waiter, and he was a great waiter. We had great service, and he always tells the story that you need to treat a customer the same, whether they come in during a busy moment, whether it's lunch or dinner, or they're the last customer walking in the door. Treat everybody the same, give everyone that same customer experience. And he always tells people, if it wasn't for that, then you know what? None of this would be here today, and none of you would be here today. So it really is a great story, because I do believe that employees at the end of the day, they get a little bit tired, right? But you really have to treat everyone the same, treat everyone equally. And you never know who's going to walk in the door. It could be the president. You have no idea.
So in this case, his future wife, walked in the door, right?
Yeah. And we hit it off, and, we started talking, and I wouldn't say we had a whole lot in common, but the big thing that we had in common was that, we were both tied back to the restaurant industry. My parents had a restaurant. I grew up in the restaurant business. I saw my parents work so hard to get what they had. And my husband as well. He started as a dishwasher, and then he worked his way up. He was a waiter and a manager, and, one of the youngest general managers in his company. And I think, that gave him a perspective on, where people come from. And of course, a dishwasher, it's a noble job, but he always wanted to work to that next level. I want to be something more. I want to do something more, and he always had this vision that, he was going to own multiple restaurants. And, again, his friends said, there's no way you're going to own multiple restaurants. That's too difficult, right? But it's always that, somebody telling you can't do something that drives you even stronger to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so true. It inspires us to go to that next level. So at what point did this idea come to you and Mijo? At what point, and how did it evolve? I mean, we're now at almost 40 locations, but there was at one point it was a seedling and an idea that then grew. Tell us more about that process.
It was definitely a process. I think it came over, years of, again, being in the restaurant business, watching what consumers were eating, but more importantly, what they weren't eating. And my husband, Mijo, started to see that people were throwing away their buns. They were throwing away their French fries. This was back in 2005, and they wanted to be healthier. And why did they want to be healthier? Because they just wanted to feel better. When you ate the bun and the French fries, you didn't feel so good. So we were actually on a trip, and we were in Arizona, and we had climbed Camelback Mountain, and we came down, and, we went to a local restaurant. It was actually a place that was doing fresh squeezed juice, and we had fresh squeezed juice, and we just felt so good. And we thought, could this be something that, we could bring back to Michigan, and we could open up a store and we could sell fresh juice? And, we started talking about it, thinking about it, and then one day we were driving home from the airport and couldn't find anything healthy. I mean, couldn't even find a banana. And that's really how it evolved. So we started to do research, and then we decided that we were going to open up a healthy, fast casual concept. We were going to sell smoothies and juice and, healthy salads and wraps. And so we actually brought several friends and acquaintances into a room, and we pitched the idea, and we said, this is an idea we have. I think it's in California. I think it's in New York. Healthy food is very easy to get there, but in Michigan, it's not. So we really think this would do well here. And all but one person said we were absolutely crazy. They said, why would you ever want to open a business that sells smoothies, something cold, in an environment that's cold 8 to 9 months out of the year? And we said, we're still going to go for it. And we did. And we found our first location in Birmingham, Michigan. It was a great location, lots of foot traffic, an area where, lots of moms love to go and do their yoga. And I think we were 3 years before our time. And I say that because, again, if people were traveling in other areas, they found these types of, restaurants or cafes or whatever they were, but they didn't really have this type of thing in the Midwest. So, I think that, again, we evolved, and we're still shocked that today our largest selling item is a smoothie, whether it's winter or summer. That's our largest selling item. Yep.
Wow.
I'm hearing so many things. I'm hearing the perseverance. I'm hearing that you and Mijo wanted to bring back this experience, this feeling of having just climbed Camelback Mountain and now having this refreshing moment. You're feeling energized. You're really bringing back an experience to people. Do you ever feel that way?
Definitely. I think that it is that feeling. And I think, so, one of the things we always say, and, whether it's food or our customers or our employees, people are our purpose. And we really tie that into everything we do. We want people to feel good. We want them to love our food. There was a time that when we first opened the restaurant, obviously we had some struggles, just like anybody else who would open up a business, and, you think you open the door and everyone's going to, flood into the door. And we said, we just we have a great product. We need to get it into the mouths of people. We just need to get them to try it. So, in our first location, my husband went out and bought this big A-frame and put it in front of the door. And like I said, there was so much foot traffic in downtown Birmingham, and he put it in a way that, they couldn't really go anywhere else but walk into our door. So
funnel them right in.
when they funnel in, let's give them a sample. Let's give them some free product, because we know once they try it, and we know how good they're going to feel. And we do the same thing, with our juice. And now our juice is made, it's all organic. And we just feel that, we feel confident that we're giving people good product and good value for the money. You can go out and you can buy fast food, and it's going to cost you, half or 1/3 of the cost. but you're not going to feel good later. You're not going to feel good the next day. And this is something that we truly believe in. And that's why I think we've grown so fast, is because we have a loyal following and we have franchisees that believe in our product and believe in what we do as well.
What a great story.
Yeah.
So, honestly, having worked in the franchise space for 30 years and talked to several founders, including couples like you and Mijo, how do you do it? I mean, you're 24/7 together, building a business, building your relationships, going on vacations. How do you do it?
So I would say that for us, and for me in particular, I think that, there is definitely never a line between family and business. Business is always incorporated into everything we do. When we go on vacation, we select the restaurants that we're going to eat at based on restaurants we think that we need to try, because we want to constantly innovate, right? So, we decide, well, we're going to eat at these restaurants because we want to check it out. We want to see what other places are doing. I also think I grew up in a family where my parents both worked together. My mom worked with my dad all the time, and they would always talk about the business. So for me, it wasn't anything different. And I think it actually makes us stronger, because I think we understand, the challenges that we both go through during the day. And then we can try to work out those challenges at night. And it's also good to have that partner to kind of just run ideas back and forth. What do you think? And what do you think? And the good thing is, there's definitely a divide between what Mijo and I do. So he sort of stays in his lane and I stay in my lane. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't give him my opinion and he doesn't give me his opinion, but he takes care of more of the strategy side and growing the business. And he is so amazing at that. He has the vision that he can see 5 years, 10 years out. He told me where we were going to be today, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I said, really? That sounds amazing, but I'm sorry, I just don't see it, right? I see it now, but at the time I didn't. So he's telling me where we're going to be, 5, 10 years from now. And then on the other hand, I stay on, the community engagement side. I help out a little bit with the menu innovation, but I would say my lane is more on community engagement, making sure that we're connected with the community, making sure that we have franchisees that also want to connect with the community, and just making sure that we build this culture that not only do our franchisees want to be a part of, but our customers and our employees want to be a part of it too.
I think that's so beautiful, especially with Zarco Profiles. We're always aspiring to help franchisors find franchisees who share their values, right? And just evaluate them through the use of the tool. So it's so important to have, tell us more from your perspective as a franchisor about, you may have a person who's interested, you may have a person who has enough capital to purchase, but what if they're just not the right fit? What if they just don't share your values?
I actually think, if you were to ask me what's the most important thing that drives success, I would say this is absolutely 100% in the top 5, is finding the right owner, finding the right operator, because there are people out there, and I'll be honest, my husband gives a green light or he doesn't give a green light, and we've turned people down, thumbs up, thumbs down, right? And I think that it's so important, because if you don't have the right person that fits within our culture, then they're not going to be successful. They're not going to, eat and sleep and think about Beyond Juicery and Eatery day and night. And I'm not saying that that's what they need to do, but we have certain values that we believe in. And one of them is strong community engagement. And if they feel that, this is not, no, I don't want to give money back to the community, and I don't believe in that, then you're just not the right fit for our brand, because that is what we believe in. And that is actually what we feel has made us successful, not only in existing markets, but in new markets. It's connecting with that community and making that community feel that, that you really care about them.
That's so beautiful. I have to tell you one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, Rebecca, but one thing that I've learned from this brilliant woman sitting here with us, Rebecca Monet, I've learned that you can train for competency, but you can't train for compatibility. The values either match or they don't, right?
They do.
I mean,
that is so true. And, we're finding that, we're actually becoming a little bit more stringent as we, bring on our franchisees, because we're learning as we grow as well, and, we've been very lucky. As a matter of fact, about a third of our franchisees are females, and, 2/3 are males, but we've been really fortunate along the way. But we do find that, if you believe in our culture, then you're going to fit with our brand, and then you're going to be successful. And ultimately, you're representing the brand, and we want somebody to represent the brand that believes in what we believe in.
Absolutely. It's interesting. You kind of threw those statistics in very quickly, but I want to highlight it to those of you listening in that are considering a Beyond Juicery and Eatery. A third and 2/3, 2/3 men, 1/3 women. In the food space, that's unheard of, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is male dominated. So women, take a look at this concept, because if a third are coming here, they're doing something very different, and you need to really take a look. I like how you've talked about this culture, because to me, if it's not right for us as franchisors, it's not right for them. They're going to be uncomfortable in our culture. They're going to feel awkward. They're not going to retain. They're not going to be happy. We want our franchisees to be happy. So I think it's beautiful that this is a big part of what you do. You hit on something that I want to dive a little further into, and that is being active in the community. This is a big part of your culture at Beyond Juicery and Eatery. Tell us why that's so important, and how at corporate and you're encouraging your franchisees to be active in their communities.
So I think, first of all, I think it's easy as you're growing a brand and you're focusing on the brand and you're focusing on your growth. It's easy to ignore this side of it and say, yes, it would be so nice to be involved in the community, but we really don't have time. We're growing so fast. But to me, it's a necessity. And that's why it's been my focus as the, community engagement grows. And we actually have recently hired somebody full time to help with this. And we've developed what we call our pillars of giving. And we have some that are permanent partnerships. And then we have some that are, I want to say temporary, but we like to also make sure that, every year we're selecting partners that align with our values as well. And not only our values, but, what our employees want and what our employees believe in, because we think that's important. Employees want to work for a company where they feel they can be a part of something bigger than themselves. Yes, I can make a smoothie and I'm the best barista in the world, but the reality is, I love Beyond Juice because, they support this cause. And I think that's important as well. And we give our employees opportunities to be involved in these causes also. And I think that's important. It's not just a nice to have, it's a necessity.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Everybody wants to be part of something,
Right.
Yeah, more of a mission, more of a purpose kind of an
Yeah.
idea.
I think especially nowadays, as you know, we're all in the restaurant industry, being fully transparent, we all have challenges with getting help, right? It's not something that, is in fast food or fine dining. Everyone is struggling. And I think this is one of the ways that we feel that we can really connect with our employees and, make sure that we have the low attrition rate and keep good people, because they, we want them to be happy.
Yeah, people want to feel like they're giving back. They want to feel like they're making a difference, that they have a purpose, they have a drive, they have a mission.
Right. The younger generation is not driven as much on compensation as they are on feeling like they have a purpose.
Yeah. So,
I think it's fabulous. I
right.
think it's fabulous. My generation was all about build empires and building, slap your name on there. And
Absolutely.
what we
Absolutely.
were about. And then we're bringing up this next generation that's saying, well, yeah, I like to make money, but I also want to make a difference. Oh,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, yeah,
Yeah. And I'm okay to live in a little house, but I just want to make sure that, everybody's happy. So.
Can you share with us some of the charitable things and organizations that you are involved with? And I'm assuming some of it is based on where that location is and what's happening there. But tell us a little bit more about some of the organizations.
So definitely, we've been partnering for years with the American Cancer Society. We love that partnership, and it has just been great for not only for our employees, but obviously more of a win-win type of a thing. So that's been a corporate sponsorship, and then we also work very closely with an academy that is local to Michigan. It's called Rising Stars Academy. And what Rising Stars Academy does is they bring, it's a schooling program, but it's for adults that have come out of school and they're maybe, facing challenges. They're a little bit, intellectually and developmentally disabled. But yet they can still, perform these daily tasks. So maybe they can't get a job, but what Rising Stars does is Rising Stars actually teaches them a trade. And there's multiple trades that they're teaching. They're teaching knitting, they're teaching arts and crafts. But one of the areas that is a focus for us is the baking side. So they have an entire baking department, and the founders were actually chefs, previous chefs. And so one of the founders has a section in the school completely dedicated to baking, and he teaches these students how to bake and how to really hold a job and how to be able to be accountable. And so I need to make X number of cookies in an hour, and they kind of walk them through that. So many of the baked goods that we sell in our stores were actually made by these students at the Rising Stars Academy, and then we buy them from them. And it's really rewarding because we've seen the students and they've commented on how they've gone into the stores and they brought their parents in and they showed their parents, look, Mom, Dad, I actually made this cookie. And to us, that's very rewarding, and it feels good that we can actually give back and we're actually doing something better for the community. And then we also work with Girls on the Run, and they're an organization and they're all over the country. So they empower young women who cannot afford things like tennis shoes and sports bras, and they do running programs, but they also incorporate programs that are non-physical, and they help to not only empower women, but empower girls and boost their confidence so that when they do become women, they're stronger than what they normally would have been. And we love that. We also love Gigi's Playhouse. They do help out a lot with children with Down syndrome. And we're now in Michigan and Ohio, and they have chapters both in Michigan and Ohio. And soon this year, we're going to be in Florida as well. So we're hoping that we can connect with their local chapter down there also.
Nice. Coming to my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Well, Pam, I have to tell you, I love the way you're stating all of these different organizations, you know exactly what they do, and you're stating them, you know, so matter of factly, but I have got to peel back this onion. I know that we don't wake up one day and say, I want to change the world today. Like, where is all of this beautiful passion and this commitment to your community? Where does it stem from?
I think, well, for both my husband and I think that we're so grateful for where we come. Like I said, people told us, you're crazy. You're never going to be able to open this restaurant. And now we're at 38 restaurants. We have 54 sold. We have an amazing team of people that work for us. Some of them have been with us from the very beginning. And I think that we just really feel as if it's our opportunity to give back. We've been very blessed. We've had some hardships as well. And I think that, we both come from backgrounds where, we didn't have a whole lot. My husband in particular, I think he really worked his way up. And, I think it's just great that, we can offer it back, whether it's financially or teaching a new skill, whatever it may be. I really want to do that. Rising Stars Academy in particular, I just, I've done the tour many, many times. And every time I do the tour, I want to cry because, I'm a mom and, I can't imagine, my child not having this opportunity. I'm very blessed that I have two healthy boys, and I'm not saying these children are not healthy, but I think that Rising Stars is giving them an opportunity that they wouldn't have. And it's great to see them doing this because, a lot of those children that are disabled, they end up taking a bad route. And I think that it's great to point them in a positive direction.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Boom, right? This is where passion and purpose collide. The passion for food that you and your husband share that built this business, and then the purpose that is part of the community and making a difference in the community. It's a beautiful recipe that you have created, that it's not just about building a business, although the business is doing phenomenal, but it's also about giving back. It's interesting as I'm watching your face and the emotion that you're talking about, how blessed you and Mijo have been, and with your boys and with the business, that the way you process that was absolute raw gratitude, just gratitude, right? Which in a world today that's a little more entitled, I love seeing this gratitude, and out of that gratitude came a desire, a passion to give back. I'd love to see that in every human being on the planet. Can you imagine?
Yeah, it would be amazing. We love it though. We're happy, and it helps us to, continue to drive towards something because, we always say, when you make money, you have to have a purpose. You can't take it with you when you go. So, we hope that we can leave this legacy behind, and our children will feel the same way, and our children will, also want to give back. And, it helps. It helps a lot to drive it into, again, our employees, our customers, our franchisees. And, we feel that we're all kind of very connected because of it. And I think that has helped a lot with our success.
I think so too. All right. I have one final question before we wrap up, besides how do people get hold of you, but we want you to tell us that too. As you've grown this business, what do you think was your biggest lesson? Kind of like, what was kind of a turning point or an aha moment for you that if others could learn this lesson, it would be very valuable to all of us?
I think perseverance.
Started, Tracy.
is definitely perseverance. And, as we grew, we faced some hardships and some tough moments where, my husband and I sat down on the couch and shared a glass of wine or a bottle of wine and said, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to be able to make it next week? We're facing some tough times. COVID was one example. What are we going to do? And somehow, some way, we made it through the other side. And no matter what you face, it makes you stronger. And I think COVID has made all of us stronger, especially those that have survived. We also learn how to pivot. And I think I saw something, at one of the shows that I went to, and it was a quote, and it said, we can all add pivoter to our resume, because we have all faced some kind of hardship, whether it was COVID or something else, and you learn to pivot. So our restaurants during COVID turned into grocery stores. We started selling charcuterie kits. We started selling, Mother's Day boxes with fresh juice and danishes. We pivoted, and because we were flexible and we did that, we came out the other side stronger, and we learned a lot. It gave us that opportunity to kind of sit back and say, okay, you know what? Now we can really take a step back and figure out what's really going to work for us and what's not. What are we going to take out of this? What are we going to leave behind? And so I would say just perseverance, really, and the ability to be flexible and pivot. And, with that, I think you'll be successful. And then really it just comes down to hard work and not giving up, because there are many days that, you could just say, this is too much work. Is this really worth it? But it is worth it. It's definitely worth it on the other side. It just takes some hard work.
It certainly does. Okay, final question. And then Tracy, I want you to do a wrap up for us. How do people get hold of you, Pam? How do they learn more about Beyond Juicery and Eatery?
So if you go onto our website, Beyond Juicery and Eatery, there's a form that you can fill out, obviously an inquiry form, and that form goes directly to our wonderful, I say female, Anna. So Anna would reach out, and Anna is our director of sales, and she will reach out and let you know what areas are available. And again, we're just happy to have you. If you're female, male, if you align with our brand and our culture, we're happy to talk to you.
Beautiful. Tracy, your final thoughts.
I'm laughing because I'm fascinated with all things that are juxtapositions or dichotomies, like two opposite things. So here on the one hand, at the beginning in your intro, Rebecca had mentioned that you majored in international business, which is large scale and more global and macro. But here you are on a day-to-day basis, in the trenches, like in the weeds, rolling up your sleeves, working in the backyards, in your own communities of every store. And I find that absolutely fascinating. So interesting.
That is fascinating. Yeah. It starts at home, right? And then it goes this way. You'll be international soon. That is an interesting dichotomy. Again, Pam, thank you so much for carving out time to spend with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been great. I really appreciate it.
And the rest of you that are listening in to the Franchise Woman, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. We look forward to seeing you next week on another episode.
Thank you.